is a disease which in Britain causes more death and pain and misery than in any other country in the world. The name of that disease is bronchitis. In Britain, bronchitis killed 39,148 people in 1963, the last full year for which official statistics are available.
No, I never cough. Never at all. I just bring a phlegm occasionally, but never cough at all.
Just because I cough, I got bronchitis. Is that what you mean? Yeah? No.
This is the city of Leeds. During the next year, 500 of these residents will be dead from bronchitis.
I've got bronchitis. I've been to the hospital and they put me on breathing exercises. But there's not much you can do in these conditions of these houses.
I think if we accelerated the rate at which we clean up the air of our cities, and if in particular a really serious campaign is launched to prevent people from smoking, particularly if they have chest trouble, then I feel we'll make very great progress in helping eradicate this disease.
No!
Aprendimos a quererte desde la histórica altura donde...
There seems absolutely no doubt at all that this is Che Guevara. Yes, they're now sitting Che Guevara up, actually sitting him up. His dead body is now being sat up. It's the most fantastic sight. He's a very pale, ghastly, ghostly yellow color. His head has rolled back onto the stretcher in which he was brought in. His eyes are still open, balls of his eyes sticking out at you. And now they're lifting his head up by his long hair again, coming right back. The smell of formalin here is quite terrible. The smell of formalin. You can hardly get near the body of Che Guevara for this ghastly smell, which makes your eyes smart. All the crowd outside are trying everything they know to come in. The forces are holding them back. They're holding them back with their rifle butts. There's a woman who seems to be fainting down here with the soldiers pushing her back. People are coming in from every side now. Every side, the crowd is crowding in on them. They're now telling us to get out of it. They're taking all the people away. Che Guevara is being held up by his hair again. It's a terrible sight. His eyes are rolling. Now that the army are telling him to get away, army officers standing all around the body, a corporal holding him up by his head, and now his head's rolled back onto the stretcher. We've got to go. They're coming at us with the rifle butts now. They're coming at us with the rifle butts.
Con la luz de tu sonrisa.
Aquí se queda la clara, la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara.
The Cuiva are a group of nomadic hunters who once roamed the plains which run eastwards from the Andes to the Orinoco. Today, their territory is restricted to a small area between the rivers Meta and Casanare.
If I was to make a film about these people, I would just, I think, put the camera down and let it roll for the whole length of the film. And what you would see, most likely, is a man just sitting in his hammock, yawning, scratching his nose, laughing to his children, and maybe shouting after his wife. And there, maybe for the first time in history, you would have seen these people as simply human beings. People who do scratch their nose and laugh at their children and shout at their wives. They're not always just taking drugs and dancing and hunting and running around naked in South America. That to me would be a first in history. A first in history, much more important than making first contact with some group up some canyon. White man made it again, great explorer. Yes, sir. And this to me has never been done.
Cattle rancher and horse breeder Gabriel Gonzalez has lived in the Llanos for 25 years. He's one of the old pioneers, and when he first reached the plains bordering the river Meta, no one lived here except the Indians. Now these grasslands are fenced and owned by the Llaneros, some with thousands of head of cattle which roam the same territory the Cuiva once hunted.
I can't say whether the Llaneros really kill Indians, because I have no proof of it. What happens is that when the Indians are making a nuisance of themselves and our people are out rounding up their cattle, some people say that the Llaneros have gone out shooting Indians. But still, there is trouble, isn't there? Who knows? Up there on the Agua Clara River, I've heard it said that they're vicious, that they're digging their heels in. It happened on this river. My son and I lay at the bottom of the canoe. My aunt had the baby on her back. The others jumped off the canoe. The whites killed Tate, my uncle. They killed Sinaru, my husband. They cut up his body, cut his arms off, opened his belly. He was like this. They used a knife. They chopped off one leg, then the other. The other canoes paddled off, and some people jumped into the river.
Loma Linda is the Summer Institute of Linguistics Center of Operations in Colombia. From here, they fly out to 33 of Colombia's 48 tribes. By 1972, they'll work with them all.
No man can save anyone. It is the Lord who saves and offers salvation as a free gift to all those who will trust in Him. 11 years ago, I became a Christian. And I'm flying all over the jungle. I go to various tribal stations. So even though I may not be preaching to anyone, but I'm taking, shall we say, the preacher to the people.
From the straight race through God's good grace.
My constant prayer is that we as a branch never forget that God is blessing the work here in Colombia and Panama, because the future of these countries are very close to His heart.
For us lies, Christ is the path and Christ
It's very tempting to try and put the missionaries into the category of bad people who are doing the Indians no good. But the missionaries are all very sincere people, and indeed there are many things which they do which are of great benefit, like providing medical services and to a certain extent protecting them from the exploitation of rubber gatherers and other white people around. They also provide education for the Indians, though the sort of education they provide is of rather questionable value.
Preocupación, 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 de estudio.
The Bharasana now want change, and if you remove the missionaries, you remove part of their life.
A nuestra casa. En el nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo.
Both sides show a complete ignorance as to the basic motivations of the other. The missionaries' ideas about Indians plagued with fears of devils and demons are only matched by the ideas of the Indians about Catholic priests who can't reproduce themselves because they can't have wives.
These people have been denied their natural rights for 500 years. For the men of the street and for many officials, we Indians are to be civilized. We simply don't know or forget that they are civilized, but they are civilized in their own civilization. They don't see that they are in a position where they can't resist the enormous pressure of our civilization upon theirs, and that the only result of it will do that their civilization will disappear, and then that way will become tramps.
We want to keep our own race apart. so that no one interferes with us. The road is coming from over there, and with it will come all these people, the robbers and bandits, the people who molest us. They're coming to take our land away from us, to rob us. Because of this, we want to get legal rights to our land. We want to talk to the President of Colombia. But since we don't have any money, we can't go and see him.
The Meo used to be Aborigines in north and central China, but over the last 3,000 years they've been forced to migrate southwards to avoid suppression and to preserve their own way of life. Today they live in villages scattered over the mountains of southern China and Southeast Asia. There are 250,000 Meo, or Hmong as they call themselves, now living in the Kingdom of Laos. There is no single authority in the village, and all important decisions are taken together by the elders. But Chu Yao's judgment is highly respected, and it's to his house that a visitor has come to discuss the current village crisis, the threatened recruitment of their young men into the Royal Lao Army. The visitor's 2 sons were forcibly enlisted 3 weeks ago.
Did you manage to get your 2 sons released? I went up to Luang Prabang to the military camp there. For 10 days I struggled with the army to let my sons go free. They refused. The country is troubled and rotten. Now there are government soldiers and Pathet Lao soldiers everywhere.
These Meo live in one of the last mountain areas which have not been ravaged by the civil war. But because the fighting has intensified, it's becoming ever more difficult for them to live in peace. Further to the north, 200 families have just been moved by the leftists, the Pathet Lao.
Chu Yao says, when you were up there, did you see them taking men away to be soldiers? Sao Li replies, of course they draft the men. They don't worry about the 50-year-olds, but they take the 40-year-olds immediately.
The pilots on this bombing mission over northern Laos were Meo. There are 30 Meo pilots flying T-28 bombers over territory which was once their homeland. Captain, how many missions have you flown?
Say again.
How many missions have you flown?
Total?
Yes.
Oh, I'm flying maybe now 3,200 missions.
And you are a Meo pilot?
Yeah, I am a Meo pilot.
Who are the enemy? What nationality?
I don't know, maybe the top enemy Vietnam or the Laos.
The war has brought us nothing but misery. My only wish is that the fighting should stop in our troubled land so that we can all return to our villages. We just want to begin our peaceful lives again, like they were before the fighting, when we could grow our rice and look after our animals.
Mongolia is one of the enigmas in the world today. Remote and relatively inaccessible, it's a country which few people from the West have ever visited. For many years, this land, with its tales of horse-riding nomads and caravans of camels, had fascinated me. However, our initial approaches to make a film there met with little success, and the idea only became reality when Professor Owen Lattimore, the Central Asian explorer and Western expert on Mongolia, agreed to help us. As our advisor, he helped us negotiate an agreement with the Mongolians. This agreement made it clear that whilst we could use our own cameraman and sound recordist, we would always be accompanied by an interpreter and a television organizer who would supervise both the subject matter and the shots we took. Since we were the first Western television team to be allowed to make a film in Mongolia, the Mongolians were anxious that we should present the best possible image of their country.
Зурган дээр чинь харагдаж байгаа шүү дээ, тийм ээ. Ямар янзтай харагдаж байна. За нүг заманд баатар гээл дээ.
Эсүүд харагдаж байна.
За эсүүд нь ямар янзтай юм байна вэ?
Нарийнхан нөхтэй гуурсан хэлбэр.
За маш зөв. За нарийнхан гуурс нөхтэй юм харагдаж байна, тийм ээ. За
marchito y tu pasión va devorando mi alma. Soy un abandonado de la calma y un náufrago del amor en lo infinito. Y un náufrago del amor en lo infinito.
The largest city in Ecuador is the port of Guayaquil. It's a typical third world city with an exploding population. This is about the poor side of the city and the way the people of the barrio survive. For the past 20 years, this municipal floodland on the margin of the city has been progressively invaded. When the people arrive, there is nothing. No roads, no electricity, no running water, no sewerage, and no legal titles to their land. So they organize themselves to fight for their rights.
Aquí estamos en serio peligro, todas las personas. No tenemos un papel que nos acredite que somos posesionarios de la tierra, que hemos luchado 4 años, señores. Le diría nuevamente que podemos haber tenido 4, 5, 10 años. Y si no tenemos una minuta, no somos posesionarios de nada, señores. Estamos en el aire, estamos vacíos. La clase marginada siempre sigue pisoteada. Vendrá la obra el día que la gente haga participación, el día que la gente quiera reivindicarse, el día que la gente quiera salir adelante. Por lo contrario, señores, no podemos conseguir las cosas 2 o 3 personas. Decimos que queremos la participación de todos porque siempre la unificación nos ha traído beneficios prósperos. Tenemos que luchar.
Acuérdate de mí todas las tardes, acuérdate de mí cuando amanezca y la naturaleza te haya enseñado que no puedes borrar tu dicha y tu pasado, que no puedes borrar tu dicha y tu pasado. En vano yo traté y hasta juré nunca mirarte, pero no puede ser porque tú estás en todas partes. Y vamos el recuerdo de los años ausentes y déjame que sueñe contigo eternamente.
Rosa, her husband Julian, and their 3 young children have been Engma's neighbours for 3 years.
Y déjame que sueñe contigo eternamente.
Viví junto con mi familia, mi papá, mi mamá, con todo. Ellos viven en el campo actualmente. Uno quiere buscar nueva vida, nueva aventura, aventurar donde pues, se puede ganar, porque la vida del campo es bien dura, ¿no? Por eso uno vive en la ciudad, hay más facilidad de estudio. Uno viviendo en el campo no hay eso. No tiene esa facilidad. Aquí en cambio Guayaquil sí. El que ya no aprende porque ya no quiere. A la verdad que haciendo pantalones sí se puede ganar para suficiente la familia, ¿no? Pero uno no se ha hecho solo para estar haciendo una sola cosa, ¿no? Sino tiene que cambiar de diferentes clases de trabajo. Porque si no hay de un trabajo, hay del otro. No pongamos yo. Ahí está Agustín, pongamos, él hacía pantalones, ahora ya no hace pantalones, el otro se eleva, ¿no? Y se gana más. Entonces yo ya después que... Uno ya se cansa de estar todos los días todo sentado. Se hostiga uno, sale de aquí, va a la plancha, de aquí coge que va al centro. Llega allá, vuelta le dan el resto de obra y vuelta a coser nuevamente. ¿Eh? Claro que se gana la plata, ¿no? En cambio yo me metí al otro trabajo. Me metí a la mecánica dental, ¿no? Para que tengo pocos meses trabajando, me va bien, ¿no? Entrego mi obra, me queda bien. Abre la boca. Cierre. Ahí es. Ya, ahora sí, mírese, señor. Mírese, para que arriba. Véase. Ahí tiene la funda, la raya y la chip. ¿Ah?
Ahí la tengo.
¿Ah? ¿Está bien?
Sí.
¿Está conforme? ¿Ah?
Está bien.
Sí, pues.
Moser, Colombia, South America, the richest emerald mine in the world. Miners working for a private syndicate search for white emerald-bearing veins in the black rock. The unwanted slag goes down to the riverbed, where illicit prospectors, the guaqueros, look for any emeralds the syndicate may have missed. Today, in the wet season, up to 20,000 guaqueros, men, women and children, are lured to the riverbeds of Moser to search for emeralds. Traditionally one of the most violent occupations in the world. The partners of the Kipama syndicate take turns in doing their fortnightly shift at the mine. To protect their lives and their emeralds, they have to fly in and out by helicopter. Apart from being the emerald expert, Don Victor is also renowned for the part his gang, La Pesada, the heavy mob, played in cleaning up the emerald mafiosi of the 70s run by El Ganso, the goose.
Yo nací en una región que es esmeraldífera, que es en la región de Chivor, al costado oriental de Boyacá. Entonces, por razones a la explotación de las minas de Chivor, desde muy temprana edad principia uno a oír la cosa de las esmeraldas. Que mi pariente se va para la mina, que mi pariente trabaja en la mina, que cuando lo acompañamos, cuando le llegan a uno las vacaciones de la escuela, entonces quiere uno ir a conocer. Entonces se le va impregnando, se le va uno contagiando de la fiebre, de querer conocer las minas, y después ya quiere uno entrar a trabajar, y si logra uno entrar a trabajar, entonces ahí nace, ahí muere uno, pues ya con la fiebre de las esmeraldas.
Yo creo que estuvieron muy de buenas porque eso no es a menudo que se presenta esa producción, ¿sí? Más o menos se puede pagar unos 5 millones de pesos en las piedras que sacamos allá.
Pero realmente para la compañía que estamos explotando hasta este momento no ha sido ninguna utilidad. No hemos hecho ningún buen negocio, porque lo que hemos producido hemos tenido que pagárselo al gobierno, porque el canon de arrendamiento que nos tiene es sumamente elevado. Entonces, como le digo, esto no, es decir, para la compañía no ha sido negocio hasta este momento.
Pues la aspiración mía es hacer unos pesitos. O sea que si hago para ahí unos 300,000 pesitos, me voy a buscar la familia y ayudarlos. Y a formar pues ya el futuro pues. A formar un hogar y arreglar la vida, porque es que la vida aquí en la minería es pesada.
¿Por qué?
No sé, vive uno es como en un presidio, pues, o como preso.
Each morning, dealers, many of whom got rich in the riverbed, arrive on the track nicknamed 14, 14th Street, after its namesake in Bogotá. Here they barter with the guaqueros for any good emeralds they can get. Between Moser and Bogotá, the price of an emerald can rise 20 times.
Como en todas partes del mundo existe la inseguridad, también aquí hay problemas que pueden atacar de un momento a otro. Como en todas partes del mundo hay que cuidarse cuando se negocia respecto a gemas, porque son las gemas más valiosas del mundo y fáciles para transportar de un país a otro, y también que son muy costosas. Pero yo siempre aquí estoy prevenido. Yo siempre tengo armado mi revólver listo para disparar a cualquier persona que venga. Por eso tengo otros auxilios aquí, mis revólveres. También tengo mis alarmas electrónicas dentro de mi almacén, pero eso no las puedo divulgar porque son secretos profesionales dentro de mi profesión.
¿Cuántos revólveres tiene aquí usted mismo en ese almacén?
Aproximadamente tengo unos 5 revólveres. Otros por fuera que están respaldándome a mí, un celador que está por fuera respaldándome. Más tengo otro revólver aquí en mi caja fuerte. Si llegase a necesitar otra arma, tengo aquí. Como puede observar usted, otra arma. Ahora la que yo mantengo permanentemente, mi revólver. Otro mantengo aquí, como estoy sentándome, en distintos sitios. Ahora eso tengo otras armas de defensa por este lado. Estos son armas de corto alcance. Corto alcance.
Dawn on August the 15th, 1981. An airport at the foot of the Andes, on the edge of the plain stretching east to the Orinoco. It took 8 months to persuade Eliseo to allow us in on his work, for unlike the normal occupation, cattle ranching, it's illegal. Now, under the eyes of the authorities, he flies out with the goods and equipment necessary for his jungle laboratory. To Eliseo, his wife, and his family, the job is risky but not unusual. For in this part of Colombia, at this point in time, cocaine making is the most dangerous yet most lucrative way of earning one's living.
Estamos aguantando mucha hambre, botados en el olvido, y hasta la caza y la pesca blanco lo tiene prohibido.
Sufrí mucho y yo en un principio pues era un tipo renegado, ¿no? No le tenía afecto a la vida. Como estaba en una época difícil, supremamente, una pobreza extraordinaria. Los menores no se podían educar porque no teníamos recursos. Yo vi aquí en la selva una vida como más libre, más independiente, donde uno podía encontrar un porvenir, un futuro. ¿Cuántos trajeron? 4, ¿no? Eliseo, ¿cuántos trajeron ahorita? ¿Cuántos pesamos? 3. ¿Estos 4? Déjame ver. Ahí tienes un tío bueno.
¿Cuánto?
15 kilos.
Macha, suéltemela. Yo voy a mirarle el número. 15.
Sí.
Vaya allá.
16.
A ver si me has girado. Otro que le...
¿Cuánto nos queda? 12.
Ahora entramos a secar la mercancía. Secarla, a exprimirla. A sacarle el máximo el agua que contiene, ¿sí? Entonces vamos a exprimirla, ahora la paso a este otro. Cheo, porque esta vaina debe quedar muy bien seco. El agua, lo que pesa es agua y esa agua no sirve para nada.
¿Esa mercancía es casi perica o...?
No, esto es base. Ella es muy pura, pero está todavía en base. Le falta el otro proceso, que es el que le toca ya al señor.
In the cool of the night, Eliseo dissolves the 400 grams of cocaine base in a mixture of ether and acetone. It's a delicate and risky chemical process. Hydrochloric acid has been added, and the 2 men wait anxiously for the pure cocaine to crystallize out.
Yo no soy productor de coca. Yo soy como un cauchero, un intermediario. Entonces, yo estoy en este negocio tratando de conseguir algunos pesos pocos donde me den a mí una seguridad en la vejez y donde me den a mí un respaldo para acabar de educar los hijos y yo salgo de acá.
Chính đi hơi cái mà chính cái là mua bét thì tiền hàng cái nào thì mấy nhà đi mà thì bé gì nhang nó bao cái tiền cái là mua thì mấy nhà thì cái năm bé Hey, did my say young woman. My thought you want to have never could have been ever could. Hey, did Martina. No, but kill Martina, you will be killed to head. Did a kill him one yet. Kill Martina Martin. By them. Gawah betul dia terlihat. Nya hadir ni nawa ham. Dia hera tika jina dah hasil bela. Tak bahir dia masuk ni muaji kan dia masuk ni wahaji. Til dia ni masih betema. Ai dia kain ci buah kan. Wahaman ni bela. Mohon aku dia buah bahia tak bahir betah ni semua. Ai wah aku kain til muane buah kena sen bela ini. Mainan bela tu yang aja.
Y nos filma yéndonos. Sí, cuando ya salimos acá. Al mercado. Al mercado, sí. Y cuando, ahorita cuando venga. Ahora cuando se esté recibiendo el billete. Ah, no sé si no. Muy feo. Viene a ver. Vámonos. Vámonos. Bueno. No, ya no.
First stop on the cocaine route to the United States is Miraflores, a settlement upriver on the Valpez. 10 years ago, there were just a few families living here. Today, the town boasts 4,000, with 20,000 settlers in the forests around. Here, everyone is involved in the cocaine business. Up to 50 planes a day land on this mud strip, delivering supplies and taking out cocaine. Here, the mafia rule, and anyone who disagrees with them is shot. Nearly every day, someone is killed in drunken brawls and shootouts. We, too, were threatened at gunpoint and ordered to leave.
Auschwitz-Birkenau was a collection of 12 camps, housing over 250,000 prisoners. In March 1943, Himmler decreed that only doctors trained in anthropology could carry out selections. Mengele, the anthropologist, was initially assigned to Birkenau, where he selected those fit for work. The rest were exterminated. On January 27, 1945, the Red Army liberated Auschwitz. 4.5 million people had perished here. The warrant for Mengele's arrest charges that he was personally responsible for the shooting of over 100 children in the back of the head, that he dissected a 1-year-old child while still alive, that he took a newly born baby from its mother and threw it into a pit of fire, that he stood on pregnant women's stomachs until the fetuses were expelled, that he personally administered deadly injections into the hearts of 14 sets of twins to provide him with fresh corpses for his research. 10 days before the Red Army arrived, Mengele and the other doctors fled. On June the 22nd, 1949, Mengele passed through the Genoa customs and emigration alone. To board a French merchant ship, the North King, bound for South America. Argentina was a country where Nazis were not only welcome, they were also respected. Mengele had brought with him considerable family funds which enabled him to live in the affluent Buenos Aires suburb of Florida. He mixed with the rich, owned his own car, and started a carpentry business making furniture and children's toys. Mengele wasn't the only Nazi enjoying freedom in Buenos Aires. On the other side of town, living in poverty, was Adolf Eichmann, the man responsible for the transport of millions of Jews to their deaths in the concentration camps. In a carefully planned and daring kidnap, Mossad, the Israeli Secret Service, snatched Eichmann from the street next to his home and smuggled him back to Israel.
And it was decided quite to make kind of a commando raid, and the last moment to kill 2 flies at the same time, and to capture Mengele and take him with us with the same plane. I didn't like the idea because I thought it is too dangerous, but luckily Mengele wasn't there anymore. We now know that he had left Argentina when the German prosecutor had asked for his extradition in 1959.
Joseph Mengele drowned on the 7th of February, 1979, aged 67. The body was buried in this little cemetery just outside Sao Paulo. Mengele, the arch-racist, now lay alongside hundreds of Brazilians and peoples of other races whom he had so vehemently dismissed as racially impure. On June the 21st, 1985, after 2 weeks of meticulous examination of the body exhumed at Embu, 17 of the world's most eminent forensic scientists, each an expert in his own field, agreed that within a reasonable scientific certainty, this is the skeleton of Joseph Mengele. Although certain governments and many of his victims would wish Mengele to be alive, the evidence to date proves overwhelmingly that he is dead.
Cái nó bữa chút cái chú hàng ra chút cái ở đây bây giờ mấy đi chú ở đây nè तेरे में ना यहाँ पे कुछ दिन में तेरे कोते कुछ दिन नया तो बाहर भाई मजे करते ही कितनी कितनी से आकर नहीं आती पहले कुछ मत तो यहाँ आती आकर नहीं मत को बैठे को ना ना मैं बाहर हिरिया का यहाँ दिया हिरिया का ना बैठा tao lấy rồi nhưng mà nhà bác mày computer bây giờ tiệt cả cũng đi mình là có hơi được tôi đi còn photo tụt đi cũng mà cái hơi mà ha có hơi được
Acá. Mira, hola.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Estaban ustedes haciendo una película en 1960. con Ignacio.
Ah, sí, sí, viejo Ignacio está ahí, vive todavía, está.
Here is Ignacio's Maloka. Well, it looks very, very like the old one. Ignacio.
Hey.
Hi. Salud. Salud. Abiriano.
Vamos, ya. Tiene muy alto.
Sí, de 1900.
Huella esto, usted café.
Ajá.
Más alto.
Sí, sí, precisamente.
Is
that what you brought him? Ti goro muare uyogi ami.
Kena saca.
¿Cómo sientes? ¿Sientes bien?
Katiati senyami.
Kena habto. Sí. Di mana udah mere mamo. Ti muy con kwak.
His wife died some time ago.
Kena be buta ti ya.
So I cry a lot.
Catalina. Emilia. Cara, na boy. Mama, ti muy.
Sim, ti muy.
Sí, muy loco. Na mai.
To bahira ne mani de dero.
Un regalo, mírelo. Puede.
Mind the spirit.
Ada buta mau mani mago kan. Tapi karena kan jadi apa ini ada ni mana. Amon baji kuji. Amon baji terus dia misal bana papa rumbu kami baji. Mau betul gaya aku, mau mesti gaya aku. Jadi gaya mesti di baji bagi je. Hamba mana je.
Nah, hebam.
Hebam.
Very bad when people come here and don't
bring food back. Di masih nyukan, dah ada dia mana dia menyukan, jadi si mo. Wadah jadi mana. Beri je kena. Nak komen tu je wadah je.
Puede explicar.
Di baba mesangkona termuh kita. Macam.
Talvez quare yuk besaka adi comunidad hedere I película muarse iara wana yahya mu bohahama adoh yirasa talvez mu kana ya
Ber.
bohati mutira
Aduh amoy.
Adoh.
Ber.
Adiwitu.
Adiwit lang. Aduh beri dia mina, aduh beri tiak.
Em bữa cả mỏng nhìn em bữa cả mỏng nhìn con nó và bữa cả đầy cái theo thì nó
From about 6 to about 10, 11 o'clock at night, they sit around in the center of the house talking to each other. While they do this, they eat coca and they smoke cigars.
Sí, entonces yo estoy diciendo, yo invito a ellos que reflexionemos esto y veamos cómo podemos volver nuevamente por lo menos a fortalecer esa cultura que todavía está viva, ¿no?
Tu propia
sí,
cultura
entonces,
que tiene.
Ajá.
No es
entonces eso es lo que yo acabo de intervenir mientras que empecemos con otra película.
Sí, la tercera película es sobre la vida en un laboratorio de coca.
Mi papá es una persona que él le gusta mucho los experimentos. Hemos dicho que es muy soñador, él experimenta, él se gasta noches enteras experimentando, tirando química, haciendo pruebitas.
Yo agradezco inmensamente a Ignacio, a todos ustedes, a Tarcesio, a todos los capitanes, a todos ustedes por todo lo que han hecho. En una forma u otra, tengo que decir la verdad, ustedes actualmente me han dado una carrera posiblemente, porque la primera película en que yo, como persona, fui involucrado, fue la primera película que ustedes han visto esta noche. Te despido con muchos sentimientos muy profundos. Yo le gusta a ti muchísimo y recordar tu vida por más que 60 años. Yo creo que somos más o menos la misma edad. Más o menos. Bueno, Ignacio. Waskia.
Que nada.
Que nada. Que nada. Adiós. Adiós. Gracias. After nearly 60 years, I left Ignacio and his people feeling a sense of humility at the strength of his personality and how such strength had held the community together, maintaining their traditions whilst integrating themselves into the modern world on their own terms.